So every so often when you key up a cylinder, and I'm just using this as an example because I was keying it up to keeping the truck to use on a job site, you know, if I just have to rekey one. And you go and you key it up, it's pretty much brand new, and you go and you key it up, oh shoot. And when you pull the key out, it's like really hard to get the key out. So what do you do in that case? Well, first of all, you look at the lock and see you've checked the pins on the inside and made sure those are all fine. You've checked the springs, those are all fine. You put the lock together and you notice, and this is pretty much always on mortise cylinders. Again, this is one of those cheapy zinc ones that we recommend you just get rid of. However, there are better quality brass, you know, mortise cylinders that will do this every so often. Or say you're working on a job and you run across one of these, you don't have a replacement, say it's kind of an oddball cylinder and you're, you know, at the end of the job, so you just really need it to be operable and fixed. So how do you fix that problem? Well, take it back apart and look to see if it's sticking up beyond the back of the lock. And if we push in on it, we can see on this particular lock what is probably the problem. If we circle around, look at that right there. See how that's raised up? And that's what's not letting it sit flat against the plug. And when you go and you pull the key, it's got that little bit of a give, which is throwing the spacing off a little bit. So basically all you have to do is get you a needle file or any kind of file and come in here and just file it down and get rid of those rough machined surfaces. This is pretty much what you can do before you go to the trouble of possibly replacing it. Again, if this was a heavy used door, this type of cylinder, number one, is not recommended because they do wear out. I'm going to pull the key out while I'm doing this. Set it down. Actually, I'm going to set it here so I don't mess up the wood. So I'm just going to file it down on each side, and we can see as I'm filing that I'm getting rid of that little nub that was right there. That's what I'm trying to get rid of, because I believe that is what's making it sit too far off. Now you can take the core out. It's kind of advised to take the core out to do this, but it's okay for my demonstration. You get the idea here. So I'm just going to do both sides. Knock off those two kind of round indentation things that are on there. Oh. Pushing in on the core to see how far it's sticking off. Still sticking up just a little bit there. Now you don't want it to be you don't want to file it down too much. If it sinks below the level of the rest of the lock, then you're going to have problems. That's why I always kind of do it with it on the cylinder, because if you take the core out, you may file it down too far, and if you do that, when you tighten these screws down, if it's tightened too far down, then the lock itself will not turn because it's putting it in a bind the other way. So I'm going to tighten that back down, and we're going to check the key. And as you can see, the key comes out much better now that that cam, it still could use a little bit more, but you get the idea there. Still got a little slop in it. But that is one of the easiest, quickest ways if you have a key not pulling out correctly and you've checked the springs and everything inside the lock and everything's fine, you just still can't get it to come out without putting it in. And you can tell it's not the springs usually by doing what you normally do when you're rekeying. If you have no cam on here, just hold your thumb up against it and push in. And if you're doing that and the key comes out easily but not there, and that's tightened down, then you know that there is some type of irregularity on the back of that lock. So I'm going to knock it down just a bit more because it needs it. Let's look at the back again. I'll push in, and it looks like it is still on this side. This other side is pretty flat, but you can see it kind of sticking up there. So I'm going to hit that area. And spin it around and hit the top of that side. Put it back together and see what it does. So I just figured I'd do another short little video showing that, because that is a problem that arises. Again, this cylinder is not, this is what comes on aluminum blowers, and don't really recommend using these cylinders. Always try to sell them better quality. But as you can see, now that we filed down the back of it, the key is coming out much easier. So anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that. If you're having trouble getting a key out of a lock and everything's correct, check to make sure that plug is not protruding too far. Alrighty, thanks for watching, guys. Y'all have a great one.